that game up to 7, which we snagged 7 on Tuesday afternoon, laying minus 115. And as you see, the Sharps are knocking that down systematically during the week. 6.5 to 6, 5.5 to 5, 4.5. You even saw some fours out there. Looks like the prevailing number right now is plus 4.5. I look at this game and really like it because week 1 to week 2 is the biggest overreaction from the betting public. In the NFL, as we talked about before, I like to pick on the public much more in the NFL than any other sport. There's only 12 to 14 games, maybe 16 now, since it's no bye weeks there in the season, but you like to use the public against them. Of course, they're going to see how bad Cleveland was. I'm an Eagles season ticket holder. I went to the game last week and laughed at the Browns. But that's because RG3 is a terrible quarterback, doesn't read defenses, and that's what you're going to get. It was great that the Eagles blew them out because that caused an overinflated number with the Baltimore Ravens. Right. Tony, most players look at Baltimore and think it's your dad's, Ravens, the teams with the Ray Lewises and the Ray Rices and the powerful offenses, the unbelievable defense. This isn't the same team that you're looking at. They struggled against a bad Buffalo Bills team just to win the game at home. They're heading out on the road. Baltimore has only been a favorite over the last 3 years 2 times as a road favorite. They're 0-2 against the spread and 0-2 straight up against that number there. I looked at Baltimore. I have it at 7. Fantastic. Love it. If it's hovering at 4.5, I would take it again. It doesn't matter. I think Baltimore has the ability to get beat here. I think Cleveland has the ability to pull the outright upset here, Tony.
Boy, Baltimore's been the Cleveland Browns' nemesis, though, ever since the expansion and them getting back into the league. It's just, Cleveland's my team. Love them to death. I'll be a Browns fan until I die. But, it's just one of those teams. They seem to always beat them. And, I got to go the other way on this one. I think Baltimore's going to cover that number and win by a touchdown. But Donnie's much better when it comes to the NFL picks and has the system down good. So, guys, that's the comp pick of the day. By Donnie Rightside is taking Cleveland plus the points. Get on that and hopefully win you some money. Okay, next up, Cincinnati-Pittsburgh. There's a battle of number ones. What do you look for here?
I like this game. It's one of my favorite games each and every year in the AFC.
Yep.
Forget about even division, just the AFC overall. Both these teams, they cannot stand each other. The one thing I always look at is, can the team actually go into Pittsburgh and how are they going to match up? Cincinnati's always going to bring a good defense, which is great. But Andy Dalton has grown up a lot in that system in Cincinnati. He has an unbelievable amount of weapons. I think they can go toe-to-toe with Pittsburgh. Can they win in Pittsburgh? It's always a tall task, no matter what team goes in there, no matter what the line is. Big Ben, Antonio Brown, always tough to stop. If Le'Veon Bell is playing in this game, I think it's a little bit different story, which that line that's sitting roughly right about 3 here, I think that might have been up to 4, 4.5 if Le'Veon Bell was active and ready to go, which obviously he's not with the suspension. I think Cincinnati, again, can hang around in this game. If you can get 3.5, fantastic. Right now it looks like it's placating between 3.5, but the prevailing number is 3. Again, I'm going to take the points early in the season. Cincinnati's a good football team, and they do have an opportunity to win this game. If they lose, I believe it will be close. So I'm going to take Cincinnati in the points here, Tony.
I agree with you there, Donnie, and I think that line actually should be probably 1 or a pick 'em. The only reason it's 3, in my opinion, is because of Brown went off last week.
There you go. Love it. Love that angle, Tony, because what the public sees the most is what you're going to get the overreaction on. And what game did they play? 7 o'clock, Monday Night Football, first Monday night game of the season. Everybody saw it. But if you remember, Tony, even in that game, the Redskins early, there was 2 or 3 plays in that way which should have went the Redskins' way. If it did, Washington might win that game altogether, and you won't be talking about it. So I love the angle, Tony, that you're having on that right there. What you're looking at, I believe the same thing.
All right. Let's go on down to Dallas at Washington, another 1 o'clock game. Washington is favored by 3.5 currently, 3.5, depending on where you're at. This is going to be an interesting game. I've heard a lot of talk about this game and what Dallas may or may not do. What's your assessment, Donnie?
My assessment in this ball game, the loser's going home. And you say, wait a second, Donnie, what are you talking about? Second game of the season. I believe I saw the statistic previous was 12% of the teams in the NFL that start 0-2 make the playoffs. So 88% of those teams are going home. This is a division that's going to be tight right down to the end, but you can't start 0-2 in this division. I don't care who it is, because if you're looking a little bit down the line, which we'll go over the Giants game, the Giants are favored through Vegas to beat New Orleans. If the Giants open up 2-0 in the NFC, and let's just say Dallas opens up 0-2 in the NFC, that's a tall hill to climb, and the numbers over the past don't support you getting into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, taking a look at this game, if you just get down the basics, you have a rookie quarterback traveling on the road in a division game, first time he's ever going to go up against that. Ezekiel Elliott's a great running back, I get it. Alfred Morris is going to have, that motivation playing against the Redskins, but you still have a rookie running back and a rookie quarterback who are going to be leading the way.
Right.
The one thing that you would like to lean on, Tony, when you're going in division on the road is to lean on your defense. Dallas's defense isn't very good.
Right.
I think Washington is better than what they showed last week against the Steelers. Now, the key number is it looks like there's some steam catching with the Washington Redskins. That number's been bouncing, as you've seen, probably 2.5 to 3 all week. Now it looks like that number is approaching 3.5 as the majority number out there. If you can lay the 3 or less, I think Washington is the side. I think Washington wins the game anyway and possibly by a touchdown. But if you're getting 3, I think Washington is the play here over the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, I agree with that too. Next 1 o'clock game is New Orleans Saints at the New York Giants. That number is hovering right at 4.
Interesting game. I mean, if you saw my tweets early in the week, it's the one game I don't quite understand.
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans, over their last 8 games in September, are 1-7 overall in those games.
Right.
Another one of the factors that you love to look at is, for some reason, when the Saints travel and go outdoors, they're a soft football team. They are built for the dome, built for speed, even though they're catching a little bit of a break playing at the Meadowlands in September. So that weather's going to be 85 degrees as opposed to 45 degrees. Looks like the reason that number is being affected a little bit is JPP and also Olivier Vernon are questionable for this game. They both should go, but both not 100%. So if you can't heat up that pocket versus Drew Brees, he's going to have all day to throw. The Giants have one of the worst linebacking cores in the entire NFL, so look for them, meaning the Saints, to pick apart that defense over the middle. Janoris Jenkins, they have a decent secondary, but I really think they're going to get the underneath stuff working out. But if it was me, I'm putting my money on the Giants. But it's one of those lines I look at, which is now down to 3.5 in a lot of places. It makes me scratch my head and take a step back when normally I would fire on the Giants, but it is early in the season. Maybe Las Vegas knows a little bit more than I do, Tony.
That's a possibility. Yeah, it's a scratcher, but I think maybe this line could be due to the fact that, it's Drew Brees.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're going on the road, he's going to have a good shot, but I don't get it. Maybe they're over-emotional win with the Giants last week and the Cowboys, and they're just looking for a letdown here. But then again, you can look on the other side with New Orleans. They got burned on a 2-point conversion. They had a big lead in that game, blew it completely in the fourth quarter, and took the loss. Now they're going outside to a tough, NFC East team at home.
Right.
I don't know why it's 3.5, which again, this is great. Like, I don't have any real money on this action, but these are the games early in the season. Like, I want to watch and see what the Giants are really all about.
Right, and that's the cautionary tale, folks, early in the season. Donnie's one of the best at them, is being able to lay off and just really analyze, take some notes, and see really what's going on, who's going to be who. Because by week 3, they're going to show their true colors.
Yes, correct. Absolutely. That's always been my theory. I've lost, I've been doing this a long time. And when you finally settle in and figure out what works for you, some people might be able to study all summer long and really hit those week 1, week 2 lines. I'm the exact opposite. Show me before I put my money down.
Absolutely. Smart thinking. All right. San Francisco at Carolina. The line is 12. It's been staying pretty steady. Actually, I see Bovada actually has them at 14.
Yeah, no, 14 was primarily that opening line. You could have, right when the games opened up, through most of the sports books on Monday, there was a lot of 14s out there, which I tended to agree with, and I still agree with that number now. Every single thing is going against the San Francisco 49ers.
Absolutely.
The Carolina Panthers opened on a Thursday night, took a tough loss. They had an extended week off, sit back, watch that extra film, get healthy. You had the 49ers playing, finishing up Eastern Standard Time, 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. last Monday night, being the second half of that doubleheader. You also have that West Coast team traveling east and playing a 1 o'clock game, which is de facto 10 a.m. start for their bodies, even though Chip Kelly does preach and they practice at different times to try to, counterbalance that, which I don't really think it will. They're not a good football team. They're not offensively a good football team. The one thing that gives them a little bit of hope is obviously with a Chip Kelly type offense, you can run a lot of plays. Maybe early in the season, you can catch the Panthers off guard just for the simple fact that these guys don't have their stamina up yet. But if you're asking me if I was going to place a wager on this game, it's going to be the Carolina Panthers, because you can really see a game like 28-10 being as that final outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was another thought that I had while looking at this game is how did that loss to the Broncos, affect Cam Newton as far as his head? That's got to be it's got to take a toll. I mean, it's got to matter coming in at least to this game. Maybe not down the road, but I'm sure he's been coached up on it and tried to put it out of his mind. The other side of the coin is he come out and plays with a fury.
Yeah. No, I think that week off, even if you had some cobwebs in there, you played Thursday, you had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before the NFL week even started for you. I think those cobwebs will be done. The one thing that did have me a little bit, not having a good feeling about the game is James Stewart is questionable with a leg injury. Now, he is going to play, but it's one of those games where, maybe you don't pound him into that defense. Maybe you lose a little bit more Mike Tolbert, but Stewart running that read option with Cam Newton is definitely a factor. If he's a little bit hobbled, that could help out. But once again, you're just looking at where are your weapons, San Francisco. It's still a very good defense on Carolina. They're going to be able to get after Blaine Gabbert. And if the number is, do you see Gabbert putting up, let's just say, over 16.5 points? I just don't know if they can do it. I don't even care. Chip Kelly runs twice as many plays as the other guy, but that just means twice as many plays for the Carolina Panthers.
That's true. Boy, I hope Stewart's not as hurt as bad as everybody's been saying, because I've got him in my fantasy league. He's my number one running back.
Yeah.
And Cam Newton is my quarterback. So I need those guys to click.
Yep. I think Cam's gonna have a very good day today. Again, it's just gonna get back to Tony. They're in a really bad spot off a short week playing one of the best teams in the NFC.
All right, now we go to the 4 o'clock games. We got Tampa Bay at Arizona. Tampa Bay has showed us a thing or two, and the line right now is 7.5, and it's been pretty steady.
I'm sorry, I was actually looking at us.
That's all right.
Faces on the screen there. Okay, we're going over.
Yeah, we do look pretty good, don't we? It's been 7.5 in favor of Arizona at home over Tampa Bay, pretty much steady. Line hasn't changed. So I think that tells me that Vegas doesn't have a real good read on this game, and neither does the public.
Hanging that line at 7 tells you pretty much what you want to know about this football game. And again, with week 2, we're going to go right back to that stat. Arizona's 0-1. They go to 0-2. They're not in the playoffs. They have a lot coming down the line, and they're really good. They can rebound. Of course they can rebound, because not every team that goes 0-2 makes the playoffs. Yeah. But now you're looking at saying at 1-1, you have that 60% chance or 50% chance of making the playoffs. If you're 0-2, it drops down to 10 or 12. They need this game. Vegas knows they need this game. They're circling the wagons out there in Arizona. Tampa Bay, the good part for Arizona, got a big road win in Atlanta. They're feeling good, so they might even come into this game with house money saying, hey, you know what? Hey, we might lose. Let's just stay healthy, come home, and handle our business. That 7 line tells you what you need to know in this one. I think Arizona's going to win and cover in this one, despite how good Jameis Winston looked last week, despite how good that Tampa offense moved it around. That hanging of a 7 number is going to tell you what you need to know. Vegas is expecting Arizona to win this game and win this game comfortable, and I tend to agree with it on there.
Awesome. Okay. Next game. Seattle at Los Angeles. I still can't get used to seeing Los Angeles.
I can't. I still can't. I'm just gonna call them St. Louis for at least the next 2 years.
Exactly. Until they've proven it. All right, Seattle at Los Angeles. I had shows me an opening number of 7, but right now it's 5.5. So are they being optimistic?
I tweeted out early this week, similar to the same thing of my approach on the Cleveland Browns. Mm-hmm. The Rams are in a fantastic betting spot, Tony, because, again, what did the public see? Right. National TV waxed by what you think is a bad 49ers team. They didn't score. They couldn't even move the ball. They were embarrassed in that game.
Yeah.
The overreaction would be is if, Seattle played at 4 o'clock last week. Maybe some people didn't watch the game, and you say Seattle was Seattle. Well, the one thing Seattle can't do is block. The one thing that the Rams can do with that front 4 is get after the quarterback. Counterpoint in that same argument, Russell Wilson is on one leg today. High ankle sprain. Yeah. They say he had a good week of practice, but you know as well as I do, Tony, being an athlete, if you played any sports in the past with
Yep.
an ankle problem, you can't cut. You're nervous on it. You can't get out of the way. You used to do that little pirouette, which Russell Wilson does to the rush.
Yep.
He's not going to be able to get away as fast. It's a road game, despite the fact that the Rams got busted up last week. There's going to be 95,000 people at home rooting for them to win this game.
Yeah.
A turf team going into a new environment on grass. I can't bet the game, or if I was forced to bet the game, I still can't take Los Angeles, even though I really want to.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a quarterback, I can't back you. Case Keenum is an average quarterback that was extremely below average last week against a below average team, which is a recipe for disaster against Seattle. If that number was still hanging out around 7, I would take him, de facto, just take the 7 in the division game, home opener. I can't put my money down in the game. If I was going to do it, I'm a contrarian sometime. I'm still going to take the Rams,
Right.
even though Keenum is terrible. I think they're in a fantastic betting spot.
I agree. 4:25 game, Indianapolis at Denver. You got that stout Denver defense. Andrew Luck's banged up, and I think the defense wins again. They're lined 6.5 right now. I don't think that Indianapolis out in that Denver area is going to be able to have enough gas at the end of the game to pull it out.
It's an interesting type game. If you look at this on its edge, the Denver defense versus the Indianapolis defense, even though they don't technically play against each other, it's a stark contrast. One is very good, can put you away and get after the quarterback, while the other one is like a catch-me defense. Run up the middle, they don't hit you, they catch the running back for a 5-yard gain.
Right.
The one thing that I would be worried about with still this early is Trevor Siemian at quarterback. He's more of a game manager, so when you're laying anything above 3, you're expecting that quarterback to excel with his play and be able to pull away at the end.
Right.
Andrew Luck, the one thing he can do with that offense is they can put up points. How many points do you think that Indianapolis would have to get to in order to cover? They're probably going to have to hit that 20 to 21 number, which I think they can do just by the amount of volume. And Andrew Luck's a good quarterback, does make mistakes. Denver defense is great. But on the flip side there, I think Denver's going to keep the ball on the ground with C.J. Anderson, manage the clock. I see this type of game being, that 24-17 type game, 24-20 type game, which it sounds like, well, say, wait a second, if that line is 6.5, that means you're looking at Denver. If I had to bet this game, again, week 2, I'm going to take those points. It's probably going to end up with the public being bet to around 6.5. So
Right.
I would take that game in on a shot, 27-21 type game. I don't think Denver has the ability to run away with the game just because Trevor Siemian is the quarterback and he's going to manage the game. They're not going to open it up, but I do think that Indianapolis can score against this Denver D enough to make it a ball game. Do I think Indianapolis goes in and shocks Denver? No, I don't. But if I was a betting man, I'm taking the points in this one as well.
Absolutely. Yep, and that's a key thing that Donnie's saying for everybody right now, just to listen. Whenever you can get points, especially in a close game like that, it's always a good idea to take it early in the season. Okay, moving on to Atlanta at Oakland. Line is down to 4.5 right now. Boy, this one right now for me would be a really tough pick.
I mean, you're looking at Oakland. They should win this game. They won last game. They stole the game. They're a young team, really excited. Home opener. Raider fans are going to be. I mean, the Raiders are 1-0. Like, how many times can you even say that in your lifetime? Pre-2000. The Raiders usually
Right.
always 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. It's just what the Raiders do. But I think there's a lot of hype coming into this game. The one thing they're going to want to worry about with the Atlanta Falcons coming to town is the Atlanta Falcons have a similar type offense to what the New Orleans Saints had.
Right.
And New Orleans eviscerated the Raiders on defense, did whatever they wanted to do. You have a veteran quarterback. You have 2 very quick running backs with Campbell and Freeman, 2 very good wideouts with Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu. I think there's going to be enough points in this game where Atlanta can hang around. But again, it's a dome team going outdoors in a hostile environment. The line has dropped. So if you're looking at, I see some 4s poking through out there, but that main line is about 4.5 on that wager. Typically, I am a home better And I think Oakland is going to get a little bit of a jump. I think this game's going to be touch and go, but I think Oakland's going to pull this one out and win by a touchdown late. But don't be surprised if Atlanta opens up maybe a 7 to 10 point lead early, with Oakland finding the rhythm similar to what they did last week at New Orleans. If you can get 4, that's a fantastic number. Obviously, the 4.5 puts that one a little bit higher. But again, if I'm putting money on a game, I'm going to take the home team and the Oakland Raiders in this one, just for the simple fact that dome team going out west, and I think the Raiders are going to have a lot of excitement coming into this one.
Absolutely. All right, moving on down to Jacksonville, San Diego. This is the game that I really like today. Can't wait to see this game at 425. Line is at 3. Been holding pretty doggone steady at 3. San Diego showed us something last week. They are going to win some games this year. However, Jacksonville also showed me something. If you remember in the pregame show, I mentioned that I didn't think Jacksonville was a much improved team. I said they might be able to surprise people, and it's starting out that way. I think Jacksonville is going to surprise some people in this division. I think they're going to go out to San Diego, and they're going to cover that 3. I think it's going to be a close game. They may not win it, but I think it's going to be a very, very close, like a 1-point game.
Yeah, the game has close written all over it, just for the simple fact San Diego's losing weapons by the minute.
Yeah.
I mean, Keenan Allen is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. He's out. As you know, in the preseason, they already lost Stevie Johnson. So the offense, which last year to me I deemed them death by 1,000 cuts because Phillip Rivers throws 3-yard passes more than anybody in the NFL.
Yeah.
They're going to really have to lean on their running game. The one thing that scares me for Jacksonville is, even though I think they can keep this game close, is it's a prove-it-to-me game. Until Jacksonville goes out and wins, 3 games on the road a season, or 4 games on the road a season, or at least is a 500 team on the road for the season, I can't back them until I see it. And I do think the fact that San Diego is home this week, even though it was a crushing loss to Kansas City, I think they're going to win this football game. But again, I'm with the same viewpoint as you. If San Diego's going to win the football game, they're not going to blow anybody out, and especially now that Keenan Allen is out, because they were in complete control of that Kansas City Chiefs football game until Keenan Allen went out and everything sort of fell apart. I know now that you have a week to prepare, that you're not going to be with Keenan Allen. I think the Chargers can win this football game. By how much, I'm not sure of. If you're getting the 3 points, it's not a bad idea to take Jacksonville, but I wouldn't be able to wager on this game, or at least wager on Jacksonville, until I see them do this.
Absolutely. So, guys, betting public out there, or guys that are watching, this is a lot of read between the lines to glean some information out there and decide which way you want to go. All right, the 8:30 game, Green Bay at Minnesota, another very interesting game. I'm glad to see this one is the Sunday night game. The line right now is 1. Mine shows opening at 3.5, and it's 1.5, depending on your book out there. And this is one of those games that's really lopsided. If I remember right, currently 80 to 83% of the money is on Green Bay.
Again, I mean, it looked last week. The one game that I put out there just to have some, lunch money on the game was the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 4.5 at home, and they covered by a half point. But Green Bay, Tony, as you and I know, is a betting darling. Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback. Oh my God, Sam Bradford's a quarterback. Green Bay is supposed to go to the Super Bowl. All this and that. It should tell you the difference. Green Bay has been shown up today anywhere between 84%, and it looks like right now is at 73%, because the Sharps are probably getting in on this game.
Yes.
5 Dimes has a pick'em line, which is probably a little bit juicy there, but +1 is really the prevailing line in this one, and that's down from 2.5. Wow. So do the math yourself.
Yeah.
More money coming in on one team, line going in reverse. Does it work all the time? No, but that's got to signal a red flag in this one. Yes. Sam Bradford is a much better quarterback than Sean Hill. I know people make the case, well, Sean Hill's career numbers and Bradford's career numbers, baloney. Just look at the eye test.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford's a better quarterback. Adrian Peterson struggled last week. They're at home. They're at home in a brand new stadium. The place is going to be rocking. Minnesota's #1 rival, the Green Bay Packers. This game is going to be fun, and as you said, I'm very glad that this is a Sunday night game, so you can just wind down at the end of the night, sit back and watch a really good football game. And again, in the NFL, I like to be a contrarian bettor. If I was putting money on a game, it's on the Vikings tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that one. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to meet the wall right here, and that's another question that I've been wanting to ask you, Donnie. Is
Yes.
what are we going to see out of Adrian Peterson this year? Is he going to be the type of running back that we all hoped he would be? Is he going to get back to that true form?
I mean, sooner or later, a running back in the NFL is going to hit that cliff. But Adrian Peterson continues to seem to deny that, father time and say, no, it's not coming for me yet. Sooner or later, it's going to hit. Do you think he's going to be a 1,600-yard back? I don't think so, because teams are going to put that 9 in the box and say,
Right.
Sam Bradford, come out and beat me.
Right.
And if you can't, we're just going to load 9 in the box to try to stop you. I didn't get a full game in last week watching the game because, again, I'm not betting these games this week. I'm just getting a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, there's a lot more film work that goes into it. But I did hear some people make the comments, doesn't look as fast, looks a little bit out of shape, doesn't look like his instincts are there yet. But that's always with Adrian Peterson. He doesn't even take a carry in the preseason and never does.
Right.
Maybe last week was that game where he said, you know what, now I'm going to get my feel for me. And again, Tony, we're going up against the Green Bay defense. This isn't, the 2009 Pittsburgh Steelers with Harrison and everybody and Dick LeBeau calling the defenses. This is the Packers. They're okay on defense,
Right.
and I think that's going to be a big point of view. 25 carries tonight for Adrian Peterson. He's going to go over the century mark unless that Minnesota just no-shows and they're down 14-0 in the first
Right.
quarter, which again, new stadium, division rival, must-have game. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think AP goes over 100 yards. And again, in the contrarian type better, give me Minnesota tonight.
Yep, absolutely. I have 100% agreement there. And then the Monday night game is the Philadelphia Eagles, your team, Donnie, against the Chicago Bears. Rivalry game there. And I think the line is at 3 right now for the home team. So what do you see coming out of that one?
To be honest with you on that, I mean, money is money. And it's sometimes hard to get a good feel for your favorite team or your home team. Just looking at the number the way it sits now, and I saw all the numbers out there. I believe it was 1 in 15 is a rookie quarterback's first Monday night road game over the past, maybe it was a 20-year stat.
Yep.
They don't win too much on the road. And again, this isn't Ben